So we shall start by what? I don't know how this is going to be edited, by the way. I don't know if it will just be a one take thing or would like chop it up and put sections in different places. So
That's totally good, as long as you don't make me sound like really dumb by chopping me up.
Nah, you're good. Okay, so maybe start by introducing yourself, like full names, what you do, what you like to do, blah blah blah. You are to the school, because this is for the school. So
Sure.
yeah, let's start there.
So hello, I am Yehuda Wexler. I am one of the first two Agile Computer Science Masters students at the Katz School. I started a full year ago now, and I'm in the Agile program, so that means I come with no CS experience. Came in totally fresh, trying to do a career pivot. In the past, I've worked as a sales development rep for a startup in Silicon Valley. I was selling to Fortune 2000 companies. It's basically sitting meetings and trying to sell them software. Did that for about a year, and then after some changes in leadership, I quit that job. Decided to go travel a bit. Spent 6 months traveling in Asia, Nepal, India, Japan. And I came back and got a job working for a nonprofit. I'm still working it now. I'm a data manager for them. It's called Hillel Baruch. I while I was working at this startup, I was pitching network observability tool. And I got really interested in how networks work, how computers work, and I really did a deep dive into how it all works, together. Figured out that I really enjoy learning about it more than I enjoy selling it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Just a couple things. Is this volume okay for you?
Yeah.
You can increase this if you want me to take it down.
Yeah, go a little bit higher, please.
How is that?
That's perfect.
Okay, cool. Let's get this like this.
All right.
Okay, so welcome, Yehuda. Today on the show, I have a very good friend of mine, Yehuda Wexler. I always tell him he has a very nice name. If I had a second name like that, I'd use no other name. But today he's a guest on the Voice of Katz podcast, and he's here to tell us about his journey, how he got where he is, and why Katz, why computer science. So I'll begin with the computer agile program. I honestly didn't know it's the one where you come in fresh without any. And I do remember the whole class was just two people, you and another gentleman. How was that? How was that coming to Katz when you're like, first of all, a very small class, literally two people, but also coming to a STEM program, a STEM oriented school with no computer background? Could you give us how that journey was for you?
Yeah. So it's scary. It's super scary, especially when you look around and everybody around you is doing the things that you're spending maybe 10, 15 hours working on because it's your first time doing it. They're doing it in half an hour with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Right. So it's definitely a bit of a shock, and especially being that Inbar and myself are the first two students in the Agile program, we take a lot of classes with non-Agile students. And that lends to it even more because, right, I'm with people that maybe have 5 or 10 years of experience, and they know everything off the top of their head. They understand everything that's said right away. Whereas I'm there asking questions all the time. Hey, what does that mean? How does that, and how does this actually work? But it's really amazing. It's great to have people that know what they're doing to learn from. It's you definitely want to be a small fish in the big pond.
Yes, I love that mentality. And actually, we met a little background. I met Yehuda from the analytics programming class, and it is as complicated as it sounds. It's analytics programming. We're learning about data frames and pandas and Python and all these things, which can be a bit daunting for someone who has, no software engineering or any comp science background. But like you said, it's this is actually something that maybe anyone who would want to switch fields or even come to a STEM school without any STEM or computer science background. It's possible. People have done it, and people will keep doing it. Better to be a small fish in a big pond. So first, tell us about your personal background. Are you originally from New York? Um, how is that whole?
Yeah. So I'm born and raised in Brooklyn.
Nice.
Lived here almost all of my life. And it's spent some time away in different places, but we came back here about a year before joining Katz School. And I love it here. I think it's the most amazing place in the world. It's really tough to enjoy a big city, but for those that enjoy it, it's really amazing.
Yeah, because being for most of the people in cat school, when we come here, one of the big things it's New York, it's new. But this is interesting because now I get to hear from someone who has lived and grown up in New York. So the added advantage or the add-on or the thing that Katz, adds to you is different from what it adds to me. To me, it's I'm in New York, that's one pack. And then, I'm also in a school that's, among the top in New York, that's another pack. So for instance, you grew up in New York, the first one doesn't really apply. So what else now do you use when you're using the metric? Let's say when you are deciding on Katz, was it like, oh, this is a good school, I should go there? Or you like looked around and looked into your options? How did you finally end up with this is the school for me, this is the environment for me?
Yeah, so funny story. I applied to Katz. I'm gonna say it was end of July, probably, like super
Oh,
late.
me too. Surprisingly.
Yeah.
It was like early July, but gone.
Yeah. I reached out a month or two earlier, just to get some information. And I decided, no, I'm not going to apply. Um, the background is that I was looking at different scenarios. I was thinking about doing maybe a boot camp. Also kind of zero to software engineer, right? The same idea, but I didn't feel like that would be enough for me. I struggle often with excuse me, a bit of a stutter, with imposter syndrome. And I felt like I really wanted to believe in myself. That I knew what I was doing, and for that reason to do a full master's degree. So I looked through a few options, and the fact that the program was agile was actually what sold it for me. There are a few other programs that provide sort of agile zero to software engineer pathways, but they're often much more expensive than the CAT school.
Oh yeah.
And also not located in Midtown Manhattan, which is an excellent location. Um, and yeah, so location, price, and the program were the big sellers for me.
Oh, nice. Yeah. On location, I always tell people it's insane that I get to walk out and it's like Empire State right there. I take 2 steps and it's like Madison Square right there. I take 3 steps and it's like Times Square right there. It's like every single thing about New York is within a stone throw distance from the school, which I personally believe is a different energy. Like I believe our environment and that. So when you're walking out every day, you're coming to school every day, and those are the things that you're seeing: the great monuments, the great stadiums, the great things of this nation. If you're doing, let's say, the people who do digital marketing course, if you walk through Times Square every day, that's a different kind of learning experience because school is outside just books and class. It's what's around you. So yes, the location is a big seller for me because it's like, oh, I'm not only learning, I get to normalize Madison Square being there every day, which is insane to me. How was the environment outside? Like, not let me not use environment. The family aspect of it, the people around you advising you what to take. Was this a sole decision? Who was along the journey with you? Who give us that kind of world? Because most of us is usually, for some people, it's like your parents, like, you're going to do computer science, or or then you pick a thing and then your parents are like, are you sure about this? I know that's something a lot of students struggle with. Did you experience any of that at any point?
So funny. I think I got sent the link to the CATS Agile MS and CS flyer 3 or 4 different times from different people.
Oh wow. It was a calling.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was pretty public about, hey, I'm looking into like boot camps, and this is what I want to transition into. And people saw that and said, hey, this is for you. Um, my dad had a significant career, working in computer engineering as well, mostly in security and firewalls, but also did some work for like New York Stock Exchange, for Bell Labs, different work in that space. And it sort of felt like a calling, right? As soon as I started, learning more about networking and computers, and I was talking to him about, and how does this work, and how does that work, and how do these, fit together. And he's been a great resource, and great at just picking my mind and saying, hey, and what are you working on? Oh, like, and have you tried this? What about that edge case? And he's been a great sounding board.
Nice. It helps to have someone close to you who's actually because it's a daunting journey. I don't know if you felt, but being a software engineer going into the comp science, it's a daunting journey. It's a huge learning steep curve. You feel like sometimes I always tell the story when I was relearning Python now to go into the AI space. Even I, who had like an undergrad in information systems, it still felt daunting because again, people usually say it's a language at the end of the day, programming language. So it's like you're learning a whole new language. We just don't see it like that. So it can get daunting. You learn all these things, you write loops that are not working. Like, I give up. So it helps to have someone who kind of has gone through that, understands it, and can guide you. So that's a very good place to be in. Was the whole family, first of all, before I continue my next section, was the whole family, is most of the family in computer science STEM, or you're like only the two of you?
So my grandfather got a degree in electrical engineering way back when, and worked on missile guidance systems for GE many years ago, and then built some like the tolling systems in Ohio and different software. And then he owned a franchise of Computerland, which is, imagine like a small Best Buy, basically, like a super small Best Buy. And my dad and his two brothers both worked in the store and built computers and fixed them and programmed them. So my two uncles also work they're both in IT. And then my dad pivoted away from CS about 10 or 15 years ago.
Oh wow. That's engineering family. I would be shocked if you ended up in arts. That would have been a shock. So you mentioned, you've grown up in Brooklyn, you've grown up in New York, so you've experienced the American education system. Maybe coming to Katz, maybe something was shocking or nothing was new. How was that? How is the education, the way they teach, the professors, the methodology, how they approach learning? Is that something that's, you could say, okay, maybe every other school is like that, or there's something unique about the Katz way of teaching?
Yeah, so my undergraduate degree was at Baruch College, which is a public City University of New York, a CUNY school, about 10 blocks downtown from the Katz School. And Baruch has, I believe it's 18,000 students.
Wow.
And you're a number, right?
Yeah, just another.
Yeah. So coming to a private school, a much smaller school, where you actually know people by name, people know you by name, where you can say, hey, I'm struggling with this, can you help me with this? And they actually care about you and I want to help you succeed, is a huge shift.
Yes.
And it's a very nice experience to have.
Yes, I hear that. You mentioned something I'd actually never put to words really well. People know you by name. And that's something we take for granted, but kind of personalizes the learning. I remember one of my first experiences, you walk in, this wasn't even in class, just the people at 205, administration. And you walk in and people know you and they're willing to help. And they're, it's like you and the person. Doesn't feel like you and 10 million other people, just a number so I like that. So, and also the fact that Katz Yeshiva is a private school, like from someone from the outside, I haven't yet really gotten the concept or the difference between private and all these government schools. But yeah, that's a nice thing. Uh, Community wise, in the school now, I know it's a school that has lots of international students. You mentioned you've spent some time in Israel. Um, how is that learning experience? This is a breed of, first of all, so many programs, so many people from all walks of life.
Mhm.
First, tell us later about that.
Yeah, I absolutely love the diversity here. I remember I had an interview early on with Jackie Hamilton from who's I believe the director of a recruiting, or the associate director. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry, Jackie, if I got the title
No, she's fine.
wrong. But and she mentioned the diverse aspect of the school, and you know what, like I think it's absolutely amazing. I think that you get much different sort of experiences than you would get if it was sort of an American only student body. You get students here with 5, 8, 10 plus years of experience, and they're each coming for their own reasons, obviously. But many want to, use their master's degree here as leverage to get a job here in America,
Yeah.
and they're sort of leveling up instead of trying to learn for the first time, or just get a basic master's degree. So they really come with a lot of experience, a lot of expertise, and it's great to be surrounded by people that are actually experts in their field.
Yeah, experts in their field. We have a lot of those. Like
Hmm.
you'll be doing a class project and the guy is doing some things, you're like, I didn't know that
Yeah.
was possible. That's interesting. And also just to personalize some of these things we see on TV, there's a friend, actually I even first had it in a podcast, is when you get to experience someone from another world, you now have an image of that um when they say, oh, Ugandans, it's no longer just this vague concept or a flag or a map. Your mind, there's a face your mind goes to when they mention that. So right now for me, when they say, oh, Nepal, there's a face my mind will go to, someone I actually know, someone I actually interacted with, which is something we really don't pay much attention to, but it's something grand. It's something really useful because it's like, oh, now it's no longer just another, you know, country in the UN list of countries. So that's interesting.
Yeah,
Let
yeah, and I definitely agree with that, but I think that there's also a danger to almost to that perspective,
Oh, go on.
because one person or five people are not always indicative of the
Yeah,
nation, right?
yeah,
Especially because we'll often see a subset of those populations present here at Katz. The other ones that maybe have been able to afford to come here, or the ones that maybe like have been able to afford a great education, or everybody has their own story. Some maybe I sacrificed for it and couldn't afford it.
yes, yeah.
But we definitely do see a subset here that's not always indicative
Yeah,
of.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not, this is the definition of, but either way you have something real, whether good or bad.
Yeah, yeah, very true. Very, very
I was
true.
talking to some people and they were saying, oh, I'm their first experience of a Ugandan. And I'm like, oh, you're also my first experience of an American. And then they were like, oh, that's a lot of pressure. And, so that's really fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's now go to, you're here at Katz, you're studying. We all have goals. We all have, the picture of how we want to see our lives play out. You're in your second semester?
I just finished my second
No,
semester.
you
Yeah.
just finished because I remember I came in the same year. How is it so far? How do you see yourself now? Who's Yehuda 2 semesters ago versus now?
Wow. 2 semesters ago, I had no idea how to write a for loop or do anything,
Nice.
right? Um, and now I'd say I'm a intermediate, Python developer and a very very basic C developer. Um, and it's kind of crazy, like to have that perspective of who was I two semesters ago versus now. And thanks for bringing that up, because I don't think about that often enough. In terms of the future, though, my goal is to be a software engineer, um, to become an expert, to become the subject matter expert, with a company, and hopefully build some of my own software and release it as well. Um, I also have backup, right? After one class this semester, the emerging paradigms class,
Oh yeah.
uh, I was really I had some sense knocked into me. Uh, and this is a class where the professor was like, "Hey, I know a lot, and I'm going to give you guys as much in this semester as I can, and just throw information at us." So I felt behind the entire time. I felt like, hey, I'm not, I don't understand, but I gained a lot from that class.
Yeah.
It moved me way outside of my comfort zone, and I really loved it. But it also exposed me to some of the people next to me, especially where they have 3 years experience, 5 years experience, 7 years experience, whatever it is. And I'm like, wait, do I have the time to catch up?
You spoke of the imposter syndrome, and it's something in the tech space. Sorry to burst your bubble, but that feeling would never go away. You would never be a
Yeah.
time where it's like, oh, now I know my things. It never ends, especially because we are at the forefront. Software engineers at the forefront. It's tech. That's why part of being along this journey is being a lifelong learner, because remember the analytics programming lecturer who used to tell us he spent a lot of time learning some programming language for Adobe
It was
and
Flash.
and
Yeah.
years later it's extinct. No one even cares about it. So that never stops. What does help though, and I also experienced this myself, is you keep going. The things will never, they will get easy at some point, but if it gets too easy, that means you're not really, doing anything or progressing. But that initial, what am I doing, that you're describing, we all go through it. And at the time, here's the surprising bit of them. When you're learning them at the time, it feels like I have not learned anything. It's up to like a year or two later when you're in a room and then you realize, oh, yes, I didn't feel like I was getting things at the time, but I really was. You'll see how you approach some things, how you think about some things, how you approach problem solving, and that's when you realize, oh, I was actually learning. I didn't feel it. I didn't like see that I'm learning, but it's there. It's always there. And that's what I love about this whole journey, is if you just stick to it.
Yeah.
Stick to it, see it through. It feels intense, but when you go through it at the other side, you'll be like, oh, slowly with time, and the pieces of the puzzle will still, slowly start to kind of fit together, which is amazing to me. It feels like almost magic to me. And I remember someone mentioning that, yeah, this does get interesting, and you feel like, oh, I should have done this sooner.
Yeah.
Has it changed the way you look at the world, though?
I think that everything you do changes the way they look at the world.
Interesting.
When I was doing sales, I looked at everything in a sales lens, and now I look at everything in sort of a software lens.
Nice.
And it's even things like, hey, I'm using this app. Like, what's going on in the background? Like, how does this work? And I'm trying to figure it out. Maybe they're doing this. Maybe they preload this, and then, and it's nice to sort of just explore things like that. And I think, like, the way that I've always thought about the lifelong learners,
Yeah.
is people that explore and want to discover something. It's the same thing. It's just a different way of phrasing it in my own head.
Nice. So beyond just maybe academics and becoming a software engineer, did you adapt any unexpected skills or strength while at Katz? Or any, like, oh, I didn't see that.
Good question. So I've started the Katz the Computer Science Club.
Yes.
At Katz. I wouldn't say it's a new skill, because it's something that I was very active with in my undergrad as well. With student life, and essentially ensuring that the students can get as much out of their degree as possible. But I think that it's an excellent opportunity to get students the the things that they need from outside of class. The soft skills, the presentation skills, the group projects that they want, and things that they want to work on.
Interesting.
So yeah. So for myself, I don't think I focus on myself very much.
Well, yeah,
but yeah.
it says something when you go out of yourself, or out of yourself actually, to start something that's for other people. That's not something people should take for granted, because it speaks to a certain eye that you have, that I don't want to say most, but it's not something that you just find all around. So tell us about that. How did you come up with the concept of, let's form a computer club, a comsci club, pass it to the school administration, through all the legal hoops?
Yeah. And
How
there,
did you?
and there are plenty of legal hoops.
Yeah, always is.
Yeah. It's funny actually. A couple weeks after I started my first semester, I felt like I was really struggling. I felt like I was way behind, and I set up a meeting with Jackie, the woman who had recruited me. And we're there just chatting in one of the offices in the Katz school office. And she mentioned that the most valuable thing that she got from her MBA program was the networking and
Nice.
and the student clubs that she was a part of. And I said, wait, we don't have one here. Why not?
And just like that,
And
history was made.
Yeah, I went straight from the meeting with Jackie to Dr. Wong's office,
Just next
chair
door.
of the chair of the CS program, and I pitched it to him, and he said, "Sure, I'm down. I'll help you push it through."
Nice.
And and here we are, almost a year later, and
Yeah.
it exists.
If you're a student and you're in computer science, that's DAV, that's AI, that's ComSci itself, cyber, I think.
And everybody's welcome,
And it's, the whole school is
Yeah.
mainly STEM. So if you're in here and there's a group, it's computer science, like he mentioned, it's a resources thing. It's the people that you get to meet. It's the network, and those go way further than what we think. And I encourage everyone to join. Maybe we'll put the school has all the resources. Just ask anyone, and they will direct you. Now,
Thank you.
as we wrap up, Yehuda, this has been amazing. I just have a couple of last questions. One of which, if you had a magic wand and there's like something you'd wish to do, what would you change or remove or add to the Katz experience, the school, the people, the admin?
First of all, I hate the magic wand question.
I had to ask.
It's a remnant from my days in sales, where it's one of the sales tactics. Where if you had a magic wand, what would you want to be one of the features?
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, honestly, it's been an excellent experience. I think that Katz especially is moving in the right direction. We have an internship coordinator. We have career guidance. We have everything that a student needs to succeed is there on the table for, and waiting for them. And it's up to the student to go ahead and grab it.
Nice.
And take it and use it for themselves.
Nice. So for this last section, I have fire round questions, 3 or 4 random questions, one answer. Are you ready?
All right, let's go.
Okay. What's one thing that's never missing in your fridge?
It's a very funny answer because it's oat milk.
What?
I have a Jewish stomach. What can I say?
Okay. The last animation movie you didn't like.
The last what movie?
Animated movie that you did not like.
I'm not going to use an animated one.
Okay.
It's Aragon.
Oh yeah.
Aragon was my favorite book growing up. I love this series. I've read it probably 20 times per book plus. And I finally watched the movie a few months ago, and it was just so horrible.
Yeah, the movies never match the book. That's a piece of advice. Never start from the book.
Yeah, exactly.
If animals could talk, which one do you believe would be the most annoying?
Most annoying? Definitely monkeys. They're always chattering, and you know it's something stupid that they're saying.
Yeah, because they always sound like they're laughing. It's like,
Yeah.
Okay, if your major was the flavor of ice cream, what would it be?
I'm gonna say it's like a vanilla fudge kind of thing, because there's the vanilla that you're eating, and then there's the fudge that you find at the bottom,
Oh,
which is like
yeah.
that little tidbit that you're like,
Like,
wait, that's what I wanted to know the whole time.
Yeah, but I had to go through like this whole,
Yeah.
That's a very articulate way of putting it. Interesting. Well, Yehuda, this has been fun. For those listening, thank you for joining us. I've been talking to Yehuda, president of the Katz Computer Science Group, a very good friend of mine. We've shared so many moments together. Thank you for joining us. And any last words to anyone listening, any piece of advice to maybe future students, past students, those looking to come? Because I know you speak from a wide background. You speak with people who grew up in New York, who may think of, joining Katz. You also speak maybe to the Jewish community, which may also be thinking of joining Katz, and they just want to know, what would be your advice? Any last words?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. And in terms of advice, I mean, I think that going through my undergrad in a public school, it was always said, hey, you get what you pay for, and which is not very much, the paying for, I mean. And you really got to go and grab it for yourself. I think that Katz, the people that work here actually care. And yes, you do have to go grab it yourself, but they will help you along the way and make sure that you are supported every step of the way.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now for the final one, I just want you to redo the introduction.
Yeah.
Just
totally. I was like thinking about that.
Okay, go.
You're gonna leave.
I know. Okay. And our guest today, hi, welcome to this episode of Voice of Katz. And today I'm speaking to a very good friend of mine. He's achieved many things in his 2 semesters of being here so far. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Yehuda Wexler. I just finished my 2nd semester in the Agile MS and CS program, which means that I came in with no experience at all in computer science, software engineering. I came from zero, and I had a really fun sort of journey to get here. Starting with I graduated with a degree in finance. I did some work for a software company in sales. And while I was working, doing sales, I realized that I really loved learning about the technology behind what we were selling, specifically in the networking and observability space. So I really sort of I started to dive into that, and I realized that I enjoyed learning about networking and computers more than I enjoyed selling them or selling the tools around them. So long story short, that's how I came to Katz.
And he's also the president of the Katz Computer Science Club. He's just being modest about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I'm only this one for a while because usually it cuts off my audios. I don't know why.
Oh, okay.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I know you have to run,
pleasure.
so I've given you 15 minutes to spare.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Manuel, this isn't great.
Thanks for doing this. One is charged.
And thanks for the photos, too.
Which one? I think so.
No. I saw you walk in and I was like, who is this? Why is he I think we meant to recognize you.
What did you use? This
Pixel. This one.
Of course.
Yeah.
You know Pixels have live also now.
Yeah. I just saw
Is
it
it
right
new?
now. Yeah. No. It was embedded in the Google Photos thing.
Oh, for real?